There is a phrase in English that I want you to think about today. The phrase is trust the process. You have probably heard it before. People say it about fitness, about business, about relationships. But I want you to really feel what it means when it comes to your English journey, because trusting the process is not a passive thing. It is not sitting back and waiting for fluency to fall on you from the sky. Trusting the process means showing up every single day, even when you see no results. It means doing the small, unglamorous, repetitive work that nobody sees and nobody applauds. It means reviewing the same vocabulary words for the fourth time because your brain still has not locked them in. It means listening to the same podcast episode twice because you missed too many words the first time. It means writing one paragraph in English every morning not because it is exciting but because you made a promise to yourself. That is what trusting the process actually looks like. And the people who trust the process, truly trust it, not just on the good days but on the hard days, on the boring days, on the days when they would rather do literally anything else, those are the people who wake up one morning and realize they are fluent. Not because something magical happened, but because they showed up so many times that fluency had no choice but to arrive. Let me talk to you about comparison, because comparison might be the single most destructive force in a language learner's life. You see someone in your class, or someone online, or maybe a friend or a colleague, and their English sounds so smooth, so natural, so effortless, and you look at your own English and it feels clumsy and slow and full of holes. And that comparison does something terrible to your motivation. It makes your progress feel worthless. It makes your effort feel invisible. It makes you feel like you are running a race that everyone else started years before you. But here is what comparison never shows you. It never shows you that person's bad days. It never shows you the years of practice behind their smooth sentences. It never shows you the embarrassing mistakes they made before they sounded that good. It never shows you the times they almost quit. You are comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. And that is never a fair comparison. The only comparison that will ever help you is the comparison between who you are today and who you were 6 months ago. That is the only race worth running. Are you better than you were? Can you understand more than you could? Can you express yourself more clearly than before? If yes, then you are winning. The pace does not matter. The direction matters. And you are moving in the right direction. Now I want to give you something practical, because encouragement without action is just noise. So let me tell you about the 3 things that the most successful English learners do differently. Not the ones with the most natural talent. Not the ones with the most expensive courses. The ones who actually reach fluency. The first thing they do is they immerse themselves in English every single day without exception. Not for hours necessarily, but every day. They change their phone language to English. They listen to English music while they cook. They watch one English video before bed. They read 3 paragraphs of an English article with their morning coffee. They find every small gap in their day and they fill it with English. They understand that the brain learns language through exposure, and the more hours of English that go into your brain, the faster fluency comes out. You do not need a classroom for this. You need consistency. You need to make English a part of your daily environment the way breathing is a part of your daily environment. Automatic. Unavoidable. Always there. The second thing successful English learners do is they speak English before they feel ready. This is the hardest one. This is the one that separates the learners who plateau forever from the learners who break through. Because the feeling of being ready to speak never comes on its own. You will never wake up one morning and think, yes, today I feel completely ready to speak English perfectly. That feeling does not exist. It is a trap. The learners who wait until they feel ready never speak. And the learners who never speak never become fluent. So what do the successful ones do? They speak anyway. They feel the fear and they open their mouth anyway. They join a conversation even when their heart is beating fast. They answer a question in English even when they are not sure of the grammar. They make the call, send the voice message, take the interview, give the presentation, even when every part of them is saying wait until you are better. Because they know that speaking is not just a way to show your English. Speaking is a way to build your English. Every conversation you have in English, no matter how imperfect, makes the next conversation easier. Every sentence you speak out loud builds a pathway in your brain that makes the next sentence come faster. You become fluent by speaking, not by waiting to speak. The third thing successful English learners do is they learn English in context, not in isolation. This is something that traditional education gets deeply wrong. When you learn a word from a vocabulary list, you learn a label. You learn that melancholy means a feeling of sadness. But when you read a story where the character sits alone by a window on a rainy afternoon and feels a deep and quiet melancholy that she cannot explain, you do not just learn the word. You feel the word. You understand not just what it means but how it lives, how it breathes, what kind of sentences it belongs in, what kind of emotion it carries. That is the difference between knowing a word and owning a word. Owning a word means you can use it naturally without thinking because you have seen it alive in real language, in stories, in conversations, in films, in songs. So stop learning vocabulary from lists alone. Watch films in English with English subtitles. Read books that are slightly above your level and let yourself figure out meaning from context. Listen to real conversations between native speakers and let the language wash over you even when you do not catch everything. Let English be alive around you. Not just a subject you study. A world you live in a little more every day. I want to speak directly to the people who have been studying English for years and still do not feel fluent. Because I know you are here. And I know there is a particular kind of pain that comes with that. It is not the fresh pain of a beginner who expects difficulty. It is an older, quieter pain. The pain of someone who has tried so hard for so long and still feels like the destination is somewhere far away. If that is you, I want you to hear something. The length of your journey does not mean you are lost. Some seeds take longer to grow than others. Some flowers bloom in spring and some bloom in late summer. The ones that bloom in late summer are not lesser flowers. They are not failed flowers. They simply have a different timeline. Your fluency has a timeline that belongs only to you. And nobody, not a teacher, not a classmate, not a social media account telling you that you can be fluent in 3 months, nobody can tell you when your bloom will come. But it will come. If you keep watering. If you keep showing up. If you refuse to let the lateness of the hour convince you that the sun is never going to rise. Because here is what I know about you. I know you are still here. Right now, in this moment, you are still watching, still listening, still trying. And that means something. That means everything. The people who give up are not watching videos about never giving up. The people who give up have already closed the tab, already put down the book, already told themselves the story that it is not for them. But you are still here. Which means something inside you still believes. Something inside you is still reaching. And that reaching, that stubborn, quiet, beautiful reaching, is the most important ingredient in your entire English journey. More important than your vocabulary size. More important than your grammar accuracy. More important than how many hours a week you study. The fact that you keep reaching is the thing that will carry you all the way to fluency. So I want to leave you with this. Your fluency day is coming. Not maybe. Not possibly. Not if you are lucky. It is coming because you are doing the work. It is coming because you refuse to quit. It is coming because every day you choose English even when it is hard, even when it is slow, even when it feels like nothing is changing, you are moving closer to the version of yourself who speaks with confidence, who understands without translating, who thinks in English, who dreams in English, who uses English not as a subject but as a life. That version of you already exists. You are just walking toward them. And every step you take, every word you learn, every conversation you brave, every video you watch, every morning you open your notes and start again, you are getting closer. Do not stop now. Your fluency day is coming. And when it arrives, and it will arrive, you are going to look back at every hard moment, every plateau, every mistake, every almost quit, and you are going to understand that it was all part of the journey that was always leading you here. Keep going. English Fix Lab believes in you. We will see you in the next one. Hey, welcome back to English Fix Lab. Today, I want to talk to you about something that most English learning channels will never say out loud. I want to talk to you about the moment you almost gave up. You know that moment. You were sitting there, maybe late at night, maybe early in the morning before anyone else woke up, and you opened your phone or your notebook, and you looked at all those English words, all those grammar rules, all those phrases you still could not remember, and something inside you whispered, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I am just not built for this. Maybe fluency is something that happens to other people, smarter people, luckier people, people who were born in the right country or went to the right school. And you closed the book. Or you put down your phone. And you walked away. I know that feeling. And I want you to know, that moment does not mean you are weak. That moment means you are human. And today, we are going to talk about why you must never give up on your English, because your fluency day is coming, whether you believe it right now or not. Let me ask you something. Have you ever planted a seed? Maybe not a real seed in actual soil, but think about the idea of it. You put a tiny seed into the ground. You water it. You wait. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 7, still nothing. From the outside, it looks like absolutely nothing is happening. It looks like your effort is going nowhere. It looks like the seed is just sitting there in the dark, doing nothing, being nothing. But underneath the surface, something incredible is happening. The seed is building roots. It is pushing down, slowly, quietly, with tremendous effort, and it is preparing itself for the moment it will break through the surface and reach for the light. Your English journey is exactly like that seed. Every word you learned and forgot and learned again, that was a root going deeper. Every grammar lesson that confused you and then slowly started to make sense, that was a root going deeper. Every English video you watched even when you were tired, that was a root going deeper. And one day, and I promise you this day will come, you will open your mouth and the words will just flow. You will not be translating in your head anymore. You will not be searching for the right word like you are digging through a messy drawer in the dark. The language will simply come. And on that day, you will understand why you could not give up. Now, I want to be honest with you today, because I think you deserve honesty more than you deserve empty encouragement. Learning English as an adult is genuinely hard. I am not going to stand here and tell you it is easy. I am not going to sell you a 30-day miracle or a secret hack that nobody else knows about. That would be a lie, and you have heard enough lies from people trying to sell you something. The truth is, English fluency takes time. It takes repetition. It takes patience with yourself on the days you feel like a complete beginner even after months of studying. It takes the courage to speak even when your accent is strong and your grammar is not perfect and you are terrified of making a mistake in front of someone. It takes all of that. And here is the other truth, the one that changes everything. Every single person who speaks English fluently today was once exactly where you are right now. Every single one. There was a day when they did not know the difference between since and for. There was a day when they could not understand a native speaker talking at normal speed. There was a day when they wrote an email in English and spent 45 minutes checking and rechecking every sentence because they were scared it sounded wrong. They were you. And then they kept going. And then they were not you anymore. They were fluent. Let me tell you about something called the plateau. This is one of the most dangerous moments in any language learner's journey, and almost nobody talks about it. The plateau is that long, flat, frustrating period when you feel like you have stopped improving. In the beginning of your English journey, progress feels exciting. You learn your first 100 words and you feel amazing. You have your first simple conversation and you feel like you could fly. But then, after a few months, something changes. The progress becomes invisible. You are still studying. You are still watching videos. You are still practicing. But you do not feel like you are getting better. Your vocabulary does not feel bigger. Your speaking does not feel smoother. And this is the exact moment when most learners quit. This is where the graveyard of almost fluent people lives. They reached the plateau and they thought the plateau meant failure. They thought the plateau meant they had hit their limit. But the plateau is not failure. The plateau is where real fluency is being built. It is happening beneath the surface, just like those roots. Your brain is doing something extraordinarily complex during the plateau. It is taking all the separate pieces of English you have learned and it is connecting them. It is building pathways. It is organizing a new language inside a mind that was already built for a different one. That takes time. That takes the invisible work of the plateau. So if you are on the plateau right now, if you feel stuck, if you feel like your English has been the same for weeks or months, I want you to hear this clearly: you are not stuck. You are building. Keep going. Now let us talk about something that will change the way you think about mistakes. Because I know that for so many of you, mistakes are the thing that stops you from speaking. You are afraid of the wrong tense. You are afraid of the wrong preposition. You are afraid that someone will laugh or judge or think less of you because you said I am go instead of I am going. And I understand that fear. It is real. But I want to reframe mistakes for you today, because the way you see mistakes right now is costing you your fluency. Here is the truth about mistakes in English. A mistake is not evidence that you cannot speak English. A mistake is evidence that you are trying to speak English. Those are two completely different things. When a child learns to walk, they fall. Over and over and over again. Nobody looks at a child falling and says, I think this child has a walking problem. We need to take walking off their schedule. No. We look at that child and we say, look at them trying. Look at them getting back up. Look at them learning. You are that child. Every time you say the wrong word or use the wrong grammar or mispronounce something, you are that child taking another step. You are not failing. You are learning. And the learners who become fluent the fastest are not the ones who make the fewest mistakes. They are the ones who are brave enough to make the most mistakes, because they are the ones who are speaking the most, trying the most, practicing the most. Fluency does not live in silence. Fluency lives in the courage to speak before you are ready. I want to tell you about a specific kind of English learner I have seen again and again. This learner is smart. This learner studies hard. This learner knows a lot of vocabulary, understands grammar rules, can read articles in English without too much difficulty. But when it comes to speaking, this learner freezes. The mouth will not move. The words will not come. And this learner feels like a fraud, like all that studying was somehow fake because it does not show up in conversation. If this is you, I want you to know something important. What you are experiencing has a name. It is called the gap between receptive skills and productive skills. Receptive skills are listening and reading. Productive skills are speaking and writing. And in most traditional English education, receptive skills are trained much more than productive skills. You spend years reading textbooks and listening to teachers, but very little time actually producing language yourself. So the vocabulary is in your head. The grammar is in your head. But it has not yet been connected to your mouth. It has not yet been made automatic through repetition and practice and real use. The solution is not to study more. The solution is to speak more. Even if it is to yourself. Even if it is to a mirror. Even if it is recording yourself on your phone and never showing anyone. Every time you produce language, you are building that connection between knowing and saying. And eventually, the gap closes.